It is currently 7:30, Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. We are calling to order the Historic Town of Eatonville regular council meeting. Mrs. King, do we have a quorum? Would you please do a roll call,
We do have a quorum. You want me to do it by way of roll call?
please?
Okay, we have Councilwoman Randolph, Councilman M. Daniels, Councilman Washington, Vice Mayor Daniels, and Mayor Gardner.
Here. We will now stand for a moment of silence. Just let you know, since the schedule changed from Tuesday to Wednesday from Tuesday, Reverend Critton will not be here. So a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am asking that we approve the agenda with an amendment, and it's a late submittal, but it was like 24 hours late. The agenda had just gone out, and we had a glitch with getting the documentation. So, but in any case, there will be with your approval, a presentation with the Denton Johnson Tennis Corporation by Ms. Waters. And if you're okay with that, then I move for the approval of the agenda with the presentation, as well as item number 6 would be a vote for the funding.
What about item, we'll do one at a time, okay, number 6?
Yeah, since it's 4 and 5, this would be item number 6.
Consent agenda, number 2, we, can I move that to council decision?
And number 5, I'd like to move that to council's discussion.
Special decision, it's already a decision.
Decision.
It's already in the spot, we're discussing it, just,
Okay,
we discuss it at that moment.
just leave it at 5.
Wait. So, for clarification, you said number 3, correct? No. And you wanted it to be moved for
No.
Number 5. No, that's okay.
It's
number
okay.
5.
That is
Number 5 a
fine.
decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2,
Number 2 for decision, yes. And then number 3 stays. All right. So approval of the agenda with the presentation at the top, with number 6 being the approval for the funding being requested. Item number 2 being moved to council decision.
so,
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right, so the agenda has been approved. Mrs. King, citizen participation.
Yes, we have Angela Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Council, residents. A couple questions, probably coming over from the workshop, as well as the agenda. So the Founder's Day celebration, it looks like, I guess your budget is based on 180 individuals. And I'm getting that number by taking the food divided by the $22 per person. And what I wanted to find out ask the question, how realistic is the budget when we're looking at social media, advertisement, and then what is the location? And you can write, because I don't want to run out my 3 minutes. The location, contingency plan if it's an outdoor event, potential impact of cost, the budget line item that it's coming out of, the 12,000, Can you give some clarity? Is that the line item, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation funds? I'm not sure, because I don't have the budget in front of me. So just some clarity on that. I know you had a lot of discussion early in the workshop about the CDBG. Question and clarification, was it the $5.9 million received, wasn't that CDBG funds? Because there was questions as to when did we last receive. So also, Catalina Park, when we're talking about stormwater mitigation, or just stormwater, or not stormwater, but concerns about the community in general. I know that I attended the update and meeting from the police department, which hopefully the next one will be, we will have more residents come out. And, you know, it was very informative as far as the information. A lot of people were assuming in the, you know, chatter that cars were being stolen, but they were actually being recovered out of their area. So I thought that was some good information that was shared. What is the status of the code enforcement and actual enforcement of what is obviously some chop shops that are running or automobile repair that's happening? I know when that was happening on Amador, there, if you notice now that probably more so for Public Works, they need to come out and take a look at how that road was eroded because of what was happening there. So what are we doing to mitigate and reduce that, you know, residents operating car repair shops on their properties? What is the status of the stakeholders meetings? There has been no traction on that since those initial meetings. Can we please get some information, community forums, some type of information out, workshops, well, maybe not workshop, but information sessions that hopefully residents will come out to on those apartments. And then there is, even on the org chart. So I guess I'll follow up with the email, because there's a lot of different stuff that needs clarity on.
Great,
That
thank
you have on the agenda.
Okay, we have Mr. Anthony Grant.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Anthony Grant. I sent an email earlier to the mayor after I had an opportunity to clerk. And I want to thank the clerk for responding to my email for the information. Thank you. Reference to community development block grant. For the last 50 years, the town opted to not participate, being an entitlement community, rather to be competitive. Historically, after I reviewed the cover sheet, it had very little information, so I don't know how the council could even consider it, because it had no statistical data. It didn't tell the benefits, the pros and cons to why we should go piggyback on the county. And you know, we found ourselves we was in the same position when you asked the council to adopt an ordinance that put a moratorium on housing. It had no data. And I've noticed that time and time again, the council's been asked to vote on items that is missing pivotal information, informative information, for such as how is the appropriations funded through the county? Is it by population? What is the average grant? What would that be a year? I'm asking that question.
You're right. Well,
Yeah. If you went to the county, how is those funding appropriated? Is it by population, or is it an application process? And what is the average amount that the town will receive versus being competitive up to $1 million a year with community development block?
so I'm just gonna repeat what I said in the workshop.
Yes, ma'am.
The competition, in other words, to do it ourselves is always the best,
Mhm.
so that we compete directly.
Sure.
However, that has already been tried and the council said no. So do we go and do nothing? Because I asked for a grant team to come in so they can constantly go after grants that we say we want. And that would be the best option, whether that's state or whether that's federal. But if that's a no, then do we do nothing? So as a second choice, then it would be, if the county, they have the staff, the the staffing, we don't have the staffing to consistently go after that money. If they have the staff, yes, there'll be some competition with their own entities within the county, but it also allows the county to do more for the town, and it's not a handout on the town side.
I appreciate it, Mayor. I would get the 3 minutes in if I could. But here's the problem with that. Competitively, over the historical history of the town, we've enjoyed a 90% success rate with acquiring community development block grants every time we apply for it. If you choose not to apply for it, that's not the residents' fault. That's your fault. But we get 90%, so we get $1 million every time we apply every year. If you go with the county, here's my question. Can you do CDBG for infrastructure? Can you do housing? Are you going to be eligible for housing rehab? And can you do economic development all in 3 in 1? No. Now you can. You can get an economic development grant. You can get a CDBG grant, and you can, and we pick it back on the housing rehab with Orange County. We worked that agreement out about 20 years ago with Mayor Martinez. Normally it wasn't like that. So if you opt to do this, you're going to be boxing yourself in to a small portion of the grant, and you're going to be unexposed to the rest of the dollars that will be available, if that makes sense. You can only do one. The county's going to give you a pot of money, and then at that point, you cannot do economic development. At that point, you cannot do housing rehab. Now you can do a CDBG grant, and I don't know why we got another grant, but Fred Fox has done grants for the town of Evansville for the last 50 years and been very successful, enjoyed a 95% success rate, and you can review that. And that's what I'm saying. There's no data in the documents that you're being asked to entertain. So you can't make an informed decision if you don't have the data. If council does not have the information, then how really are you doing justice to the residents by just running into something because we just need to? I just think it's prudent that you sit back and give the council all the information that they need to make an informative decision. Because I tell you, if you do this, and nobody can tell me now, what is the average grant that we get? Is it 250,000? Is it 500,000? Is it $1 million?
650,000.
650,000. So we get 650,000 out of $1 million that's possible on the table. Then we can do housing rehab, and then we can do economic development grant all in a trio versus 600,000. So I just, I don't know if there's a rush on this, but get the information. I'm just asking, get the council the information so they can make an informed decision. That's all. Okay.
The 650,000 you just stated, what is that? Was that the average that we have received, or the average that they have given?
That's the average to municipal governments
That has been given.
Yes.
That's not the average to the town, because the town doesn't have a history of writing a lot of grants, whether it's county or whether it's federal. If you don't write grants, it really doesn't matter about the percentage of approval if you don't write any. And having the staff to do that would be, that's going to be key to getting that done. Mrs. King.
No other citizen, but we do have one. We have Ryan Novick. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Mr. Novick.
All good, all good. Good evening, everyone, Mayor, Council, residents. Tonight, I'd like to, I guess, comparatively talk about the little things that matter. Logos and branding. If you could help me by driving. So here is Maitland's, our neighbor's old logo. It's busy, it's a little bit muddied versus their new rebranded logo. They took a step that others didn't necessarily take, which is they basically did away with the old and just brought in the new. If they need to create just an icon out of it, they have the sort of floral, colorful M, and that's their sort of branding that they put on stationery, etc. Next, please. Our other neighbors in Winter Park did something similar. They kept their town crest for City of Winter Park, but they additionally added additional branding assets in just the form of the peacock. Something that goes on signage, letterheads, Facebook logos, websites, etc. Something that's clean, easy, identifiable, and can be discerned from, again, on the left side of their crest, it's kind of busy, and if it's in small, it's very hard to make out what it is. Next, please. City of Orlando did the same thing. They kept their still official city crest, but they rebranded for asset purposes. So if you go to the City of Orlando's Facebook page today, the logo on the right is what you'll see, just the fountain. And that is something that they can easily grab. brand and put out there for public consumption, use, etc., to drive additional just recognition of a destination. Next, please. Ocoee did something similar. They went away from something that was large, loud, and busy to something that was, well, their mayor actually hated it. He called it a purple turkey, but it can't be argued that it is quite a bit cleaner, more modern, more concise. Next one. And then even down south in Miami, they kept their city crest while providing an alternate asset. So something that can, again, go on letterhead, stationery, signage, branding, etc. Last one. Which brings me to us. At some point, we've actually rebranded. We went from whatever this is, an eagle holding a rocket, to what we have today. I'm not proposing that we do away with what we have. What I would like to propose is that we entertain an alternate crest logo, something that can be easily discerned and identified, something that you could easily grab iconography from for branding purposes. What we have on the bottom is what's on the website today. Again, it's busy, it's muddied, it's hard to discern. When you put that logo on signage, again, it's very difficult to even make out what it is. Additionally, the logo or the crest that's being used does not match the font branding of what's on the right-hand side. Now, I know that that was probably just put up there, maybe for whatever reason, but they're at odds with one another. So what we have is our current crest, and I would like to propose that you guys look at adding an alternate branding logo, something like that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, that was the last one.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda for items number 1, approval of the town council meeting. And item number 3, approval of the hurricane preparedness plan.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, the consent agenda is approved. For council decisions, the CDBG interlocal agreement, we had a discussion earlier. Unless someone has something additional they wanted to say, I think, council, was it you, Councilwoman?
That was me.
No, okay. Councilwoman.
I think what one of the speakers said earlier, with Fred Fox and with CDBG program, that we haven't used this guy in, I don't know, since I've been up here. And I brought it to our attention years ago by using Fred Fox, why he hasn't been on the scene doing things. And all of a sudden now we won't. I think we tried to do this before with Orange County to give them the power to do our grants. But I think it takes from us to be in our own stewards, to have our own business. But we have the staff. Fred Fox is our staff to go out and get those grants, the CDBG grants. So I don't know why we haven't been using them. I told the former mayor up here, we need to be getting these grants yearly. I don't know if Mr. Trent is in the building, but you can't tell me the last time we got them. You know what to tell me last time we got CDBG grant?
We discussed it in the workshop.
I want to hear, but I'm just saying, what was it?
2018 was the last one that she brought to our attention.
Who's getting those every year? You know what I'm saying? Who's getting those grants every year?
I can say we do have one on the books right now, but it hasn't, the funds have not been received, and that's for the 5.9. That's, we're in the process of doing the administration and engineering drawing for that. So that's in the works.
And who's doing that?
CDBG? Isn't that DEO?
I'm sorry, that's DEO, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about with Fred Fox. Fred Fox was the guy for this here program here. This was the guy. And every year we had a project on the books to get done. So I just don't know why we going to the county to do our work. And that's one thing I can't support, that we give the county that power to go out and get our grants. They want to get a certain amount. I don't know how much they want to give us. They might say, well, you only want to get 200,000. You went for this and went for that. So I don't know. Even with the infrastructure, parks. I mean, we could go out with money for parks and everything. Who's getting those, like Catalina Park, need upgrade. Dayton Johnson, we got a grant out there now with USDA. We haven't hit on it to get that building remodeled. So we just sitting here, there's money out there. We haven't done the work to get these things done. So that's all I have at the moment, but we just need to look at that, consider that. Thank you.
I would like to comment on Fred Fox. In fact, I had a conversation with them about 2 weeks ago. And they
Please,
stated,
hold. I'm sorry.
Fred Fox, can you hear me now? Yeah, I had a conversation with Fred Fox, agency, Mr. Fred Fox himself, about 2 to 3 weeks ago. And he stated that the reason that he was not involved here with the town of Eatonville, because meaning we, the town of Eatonville, had elected to go with the county for whatever grants or funding that we needed. So he has a 3-year waiting period to wait until that's over before he can get involved again. So I don't really know all the information behind that. As I happened, I wasn't on the council, but I'm just only passing on what he had informed me. Thank you.
A 3-year waiting period to do any work with Eatonville?
In order for him to be involved with writing grants, because we elected to go with the county.
When we done that?
I don't know, that's what he said. I don't know.
Oh, that's not.
Staff can follow up on it, Mr. Preston.
But whether you go with Fred Fox, whether you go with the team presented, if you say no, it's still going to be no. And having one team work toward grant doesn't prevent Mr. Fox from presenting us with grant opportunities that are out there. I have no idea who would have spoken to Mr. Fox, but if I asked for a grant team to work in our favor, I'm sure that it would not have been me to tell Mr. Fox that we're working with the county.
But I think,
So it must have been a prior administration when they thought that we would be going with the county, we didn't. So that's one thing I can say. It wasn't this
with
administration.
the grant team, I think grant team were looking for money up front.
No,
I think they were looking for a salary, some kind of way.
no.
It was never, yeah, I think that's what it was.
It was depending on the grant that you select. If you want a grant that you have to pay them hourly wages for, then that's what the hourly wage information was in the packet for. But if you wanted them to go for grants that came with administrative fee and they get their fees from that, then that is what the council could have said yes to. It was never going to be anything up front because we don't have that kind of budget.
So with Fred Fox agreement, that we give him a grant to target, he gets it, we know he gets paid out the administration costs. That's where his money that's where the money come in at. It didn't cost the town no upfront money or no back money. It's called, once he get the grant, he get paid out the grant. So you saying this group here was wanting to get paid by the hour by doing a grant, but Fred Fox was doing the same thing, waiting on this money when he closed the grant. That make him work harder to get the grant.
But it's not based on the contractor, it's based on the grant. So whatever grant, and again, we can have 2-3 teams going, it's not going to stop us. But we were saying no. But Fred, the grants that Mr. Fox could have gone after, if there was an administrative fee, then he gets his administrative fee out of that, should he get the administrative rights. Because, and even with that, it's a procurement process. You can't just say, oh, I write the grant, I get the fee. There's still a process. So, I mean, but again, since it was presented, the council said no. Do we sit and not go for grant money? I don't think that we can state how, and I think the Marine, I'm not going to misspeak. The Marine lift station, how that came about wasn't necessarily us going to look for it. I think it came to us, they wanted a project, but I could be misspeaking on that, and I don't want to do that. But in any case, to pair up with the county does not prevent citizens from applying for the same like housing rehabilitation. Doesn't stop the citizens from doing any of that at all. How much you get is going to be based on what you ask for. Do you get all that you ask for? It remains to be seen. And again, we don't have a track record of being consistent with grant writing. And right now, we simply don't have the staff to even get consistent right now.
So let me clearly understand, if we were to apply for this grant, so we could still be eligible for the other federal grants,
Yes,
but not for the state grants?
that's
Correct. And unless the state grant says that you can.
correct.
So you tying our hands, you tying the
It's
hands
in
up.
the interlocal agreement. If the state, if that particular grant says that you can, even being a part of this, it's in your interlocal agreement.
It is.
Yes.
So you're saying the county gonna be rendering services to the town of writing CDGB grants? And the citizens have to go to them or come to the department of the city?
If the town wants to go after a CDBG grant, we would go through the county for the grants that are listed in this interlocal agreement.
So who do the county do that with now? Who they doing that with now? Who they partner with? What other municipalities doing that with?
Town of Oakland,
Is it Mellow?
Edgewood, it's the smaller entities within
Yeah.
there.
And what's the pros and cons on that? Or how they feel about it? Have you talked to a representative over there?
They're signed up again for another term. Oakland and Edgewood are signed up.
They signed up, but what they're saying, they get funds or?
They have received funds on public safety projects, transportation, as I stated earlier, as well as in certain programming, whether it was youth or homeless engaged.
Okay, if I sign up this group, if I sign up with Orange County, so who gonna tell Orange County we need what grants? For what? Where's our, list, what to do list that we want?
I mean, I think once we develop the capital improvement and we go by what our list is, then we can contact them. And if you look at the interlocal agreement, the home program, the emergency solutions grant, that kind of outlines what projects you can have under those particular programs.
Now, is that a separate allocation for each one of those? Or is that a separate allocation for a homeless, home program, and CDBG? Are those separate allocations under that? Or they just give you one lump sum
It
and they
depends on which
allocate it?
programs what projects or we present to them that we are requesting funds for. Under, say for instance, it could be a homeless project, could be a transportation project that we put in there as well, or it could be a drainage issue project that we put, or drainage improvement project that we put in there. So it could be several different options that we use for that.
So what about facilities?
It could be issue facilities as well.
So for the last several years, we haven't went out to try to get a grant for this pool. I mean, who do it take to say, well, we need money for a pool? We know that for 5, 6, 7 years now. So who on staff should say, let's go after the grant, Fred Fox, like, get funds for a new pool? Who do that take? What department does that?
That would be recreation and administration.
And talking to the recreation director, he said he put in the 5-year plan to say we need to pool with the 5 years. He put that in his 5-year plan. And I think Roger Dixon was here at the time. And then I said, I don't know if this paper's still on file or not, but he put that in about a new pool when he was the recreation director. So that should have been on the books year to year until we got that done. So I'm just trying to figure out who do we go to say, let's get funds for a new pool? And we using them or we overdue for it. We overdue for the funds for the pool, or even fixing up Kelly Park and upgrading that part. We just not doing anything. Getting them to do it or we do it, I don't know. I'm at all at this.
I think, it is a lot to unpack. And I agree that 5 years ago, we should have had a capital improvement plan that if we didn't use the funds, that's what they're for, is a plan. If you don't work a plan, it's not even a plan. It's just something that you put on paper to say that you fulfill the obligations of the charter. And I think that's been the issue. But right now, I know that our our recreation director is working with getting that pool reestablished. With, I don't want to say the least amount of funds necessary, but when it's something that we can bring to you, then we will. But right now, it's a matter of, like you said, having someone that it will be accountable for getting it done. Because putting numbers on a piece of paper just isn't good enough. And that's what we've been working with, numbers on a piece of paper, then the next year, we start over again at the same spot. Yes, wait, are you,
Numbers on paper.
Councilman, you finished?
Go ahead, go ahead.
So I guess everyone's been asking the question. Page 3 of 8 of the agreement, we take a formula allocation for home ESG program and all that, and you can apply for funds through the state if the state allows it. So that answers the question that you can apply for the state funds. It's on page 3 of 8 of the agreement.
Oh, just tell us like, okay.
Because everybody keep asking, can you apply for the, if the state allows you can, we do get an allocation per area of the CDBG. It's an allocated, it's a formulated allocation under the program.
And it doesn't
And
prevent,
it's not precluded from applying to the state for home funds if the state allows.
correct. And it doesn't prevent citizens from applying from the same programs that they've applied for. Are there any other questions before I put it to vote? All right. So approval of the CDBG interlocal agreement with Orange County. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Next item on the agenda. You have that, Ms. King?
I do, thank
All
you.
right. Next item is the approval and consent of emergency water main repair. Kennedy Boulevard, I was making sure I didn't miss one.
As stated, this was an emergency project that took place. There were two emergency quotes that were taking place for an actual examination to find out where that leak was. Because it was a water leak and under the road, we could not specify exactly where it came from. So there's two contractors that we received emergency quotes from, one being the provider, which was Collier and Carr, and the other one being Prime Contractor. Of course, Carr came in with a better quote, and that was the one we proceeded with. And the final pricing of that was placed, as you can see, for $72,000. The contingency fund currently has $199,000 that's already in that budget or contingency item fund in that system right now. I can give you the exact, 1 second. $199,314. We will be using $72,000 to cover the cost for that emergency repair there. And also, we've also started the process of reviewing this with SGL, who were the contractors from the I-4 project there, which we are currently looking to be reimbursed for a portion of those funds that were for that project. But right now, as it was an emergency project, we needed to pull funds to do what we needed. I'll leave that for council's discussion and comments.
Question. So the initial amount in that contingency was 109 at the beginning of the budget year? Or that's what's in the now?
That's currently what is in there now.
How much have we spent that so far this year, do you know?
Tell you right here.
Because we've had two major water breaks that was well over $100-some thousand. So that's what I'm just trying to figure out. Is there enough money actually in that fund?
The balance with amount, which I just told you, was that's actually what's in there. The other project, when we use for, I believe that was for a while, 42,000. Mr. Green, please step to make sure you say this number right, but it was 42,000 that was used, and that has been reimbursed to the town for that portion.
42?
42.
That one water break at Lincoln that the contractor did when the water was out, that was well over $100-some thousand. So did that money come out of this contingency line, or where did it come from?
It came out of some of the other lines. but the, it came out of, I got my glasses on. That invoice you're talking about was 70-some thousand.
70,
It was 70-some thousand. They gave us, they reimbursed us by part of it. And it was 40, I think the check was $47,000 we received back for that repair.
So that one that came out of contingency also?
No, we had some money down some line with, I think, I have to go back and Mr. English, with the previous public director, there was some money in the other line out that we was able to take care of some of those repairs. And one of the repair we haven't done yet is one that's still open that you're probably thinking about. We haven't repaired that,
I'm confused right now, because the one at Lincoln,
right?
and then we had the one that was a little bit further down the street when they had us detoured around. And I think one of those was over 100 and some thousand.
I
And
don't
now
know,
we
check,
stand
we
alone.
got it taken care of. One of them we haven't repaired yet. It's one that he brought in to give you a quote for, haven't been repaired.
To my knowledge, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say to my knowledge that there was a portion that we immediately done along Kennedy,
And there's
which
one,
was 42,000. There was a quote for 79,000 for the Lincoln repair, which has not been done. There is a small minor repair that's been taken care of. The road's open, but it has not been officially restored properly back to.
Right on the corner of Kennedy, and that was a complete repair, I thought. Cause the county was out there, I was out there that night. The county was not gonna let us open that road back up until it was done, so the county was going in. That's when, Spectrum people had busted, so.
They may have done a small repair, but the actual road repairs and that needs to be done, it has not been done.
Oh, it's the road.
Top of the sidewalk
The
and
the road hasn't been
Road
done,
got-
Full restoration hasn't
But
been done.
the restoration of that site has not been done,
so that's
but
the
the actual
top,
pipes have been.
the top's over.
repaired. And that was the 79, so I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and do some research from Mr. English notes on if it was 100,000+ for that, but
Did we pay for that?
contingency currently has that in there.
Did we pay for that?
We supposed to pay for it, supposed to be fighting insurance, that's why I know it's 100 and some thousand dollars back then. But that's here, there, 72,000, is there not an insurance claim, because how long ago was that road repaired, and then all of a sudden we have a busted pipe? There wasn't no,
I don't know,
from DOT, they didn't have any kind of,
we reviewed it with them prior to, and at that time, they said that there was nothing at that point done from that project. However, once we opened it up, we did discover what was taking place there, and so we're now pursuing that back with SGL to confirm that it was from the work that was done there, we're just waiting back on work.
so there's no guarantee they will
I
get
can't
72.
say guarantee you that you're gonna get 72 back. But it was our water pipe and we have to repair it.
Right, and at this stage, there's nothing we can do but pay it, because the work has already been done.
Yeah, it was an emergency repair. It was either let the road cave in from the continuation of it or repair it.
Do we know how long it was leaking?
I don't have the full extent. I know when you brought up that water was falling from, we researched it from water coming from the top, but after further research on it, we found out it was underground. So that's what was public there.
Seems like it had to be a while. The water
And
company
those,
said-
sometimes they take a while to break ground, right?
And we know they cut the road back there when they,
Absolutely.
so that's my,
But I do have emails between the town and SGL going back to discussing it. So when we finish the repair, I may have to get with our legal team to put something officially with it. But at this point, we are pursuing to make them aware that this break could have happened from that process.
and since it's a county road, have we got the county involved with it?
Absolutely. They've been involved. They've been permit with it. They was on site, did inspections. So
What I'm saying, what do they say, since that's their roadway, what do they, or do they?
They're not saying much because the roadway was only messed up because of our water pipe. And so that's our responsibility. So that's how they're going to review that point.
Right. There's nothing else. Move for approval and consent of emergency water main repair on Kennedy Boulevard.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Next item is oh my goodness, I forgot about the presentation. The next item is the approval of the fund for the Founder's Day celebration. I'll let you open up.
Members of council, we do have that, the Founder's Day budget that has been placed by the staff team as we're preparing for it. When I ask Ms. Collins to come up and speak on the details of what we have. There was a question that came in regards to the amount we have for the food based off of 180 people being there. We are aware of that, and our goal was not just to feed 180 people. We're looking to have the purchase of bulk food and have maybe one of the Kiwanis or one of the groups in the community help us with cooking food for that community. Based off what's been presented from the administration at this time, the goal was to have a picnic for the community to proceed from there, but there can be some adjustments made there.
And before we get started, so we can really look at this number. And Ms. Johnson did break down, it was 180 per person, but if we take this whole budget and do it in 180, that's $66.67 per person. That's kind of steep to me to be paying $67 a person for 180 people. So
What's the, you go by the menu, what's on the menu?
Can we have her to do
On
a
the menu.
presentation
Now, what's the
first?
menu?
So we can,
Yeah, that's,
let's do the presentation.
Yeah.
Can we get past the presentation,
Is your
please?
microphone
Thank you.
Good evening, council and residents. So the breakdown, and let me explain the breakdown of the food and the whole event. So the mayor wanted to have a old-fashioned picnic in the park. So the location will be Denton Johnson, the field, using the actual center as our contingency plan for rain and for our seniors, since it will be, it's the summer. And as we already know, it's 100-degree index, so we will have that for our seniors or anyone who gets overheated. The food, since that happens to be a thing, and this was a mistake on myself and staff. What we wanted to see was, an old-fashioned picnic, and so that's grilled hot dogs, chips, and a drink with a dessert of some kind. So the thought was to purchase the food from Costco. If we're looking at 2,200 people, the population of the town, it's going to be about $1,000. About $2,500 to $3,000 for the hot dogs, the condiments, the buns, chips, soda, and if we do watermelon or whatever dessert we do. So that's the breakdown of the food. As you see, there's the structure, the tents, tables, chairs. We had a couple of quotes come in. We still have quotes coming in. Right now, the lowest is what you see here, $2,222.97. When it comes to the activities for the kids' corners, the bounce houses, the entertainment, when it comes to face painting, balloon artists, hosts, DJ, that comes to, the activities come to about $1,100. Entertainment is $1,000 for DJ and host. So are there any other questions? Did I answer questions?
And I think Mr. Councilman Daniels had a question.
do you have any
first.
questions?
I'll go. Did we, were you able to go out to the senior program we just recently had?
I did not. I would not have.
A great time.
Mhm.
Food was great. I was wondering, did we ask, how much did the seniors, how much, because did we contribute to help with that program? Because basically it's the same thing.
We did not contribute. Miss Seeley did that herself. I did ask, actually, Miss Nina Frazier, who did the food. She told me, Miss, I believe, Tally. So I'm getting in touch with her to see how much they spent.
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I don't think it was near 6,000, I don't think. I may be mistaken, maybe under 5.
Okay.
And it was a quality program. I stayed the majority of the time. Vendors came out, music, like for me, for instance, like DJ $1,000 for 4 hours, right? bro, you ain't playing up this music for $250.
Well, he was hosting it and DJing, so that's what.
We can
I'm
find,
just-
I know. We can find somebody
I'm just
else.
telling you what the quotes were
I-
coming
right.
in.
I think we have to look at money, costing, events that can help out, you know what I'm saying, like bring your own chair,
Mhm.
because that's what I did.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't need to go inside, I brought my own chair, sat out. Like I said, food was great.
Mhm.
We had some vendors that provided drinks, so it was a time, and I don't think it was near, like I keep saying, 5,000. I would like to ask Ms. Season
Okay.
if we could look at her, maybe model her program to see how we could do that.
Do you know how many was that?
I mean, it's gonna be, it was open. It was
Wait, can we
300.
move
I'm just gonna say, when you open
We-
it, people were coming, so I don't think she had any problem with how many people showed. I think that we can do a time thing, too, maybe 10 to 12, that would maybe hope eliminate the afternoon showers, maybe earlier, 4 hours. And find out what they did at bounce houses, face painting, the, thing where you take the pictures. I mean, I thought it was a pretty good event. The 360 camera, not for 12 grand.
Okay.
You know, I'm just saying. It's mine out there. Thank you, Ms. Bond.
No problem.
Okay, I do have a concern also. This is 137 years, correct?
Yes.
Edenville's birthday. Now, when we plan a special event, Town of Edenville, the oldest municipality, African-American in the United States of America, I would expect to have more than just a picnic. We need something that is going to be inclusive of our residents in the town. Okay? When I say this, I mean, we have churches that's here that needs to get involved. We have so many other businesses that can be involved. And I think we need to reach out to them and have a plan. Even town hall can be open on the day that we have this, so that way visitors coming into the town, people can come here. We have a nice display on the wall here in the lobby. We have Macedonia Church, it's the second church here. They can have a nice display out in front of the church. We have St. Lawrence AME Church, which is the first church that has a lot to offer when you come to the town of Edenville. The Moses House. We have so many entities here that can make a great 4th of July. And we need to have more education about our town and the history of our town. Why not invite the former mayors of this town? We have at least 3 former mayors that are still here. One just left here. We have other council members who are no longer involved in the town, but they live past council members, former council members. Let's do something. We have the Life Center Church here. Let's let them get involved. Say, this is what I can contribute to the town of Edenville. We here, we want to make part of history. There's so much that we can do to make this a better event, rather than people coming just to gather, just to eat hot dogs and hamburgers. Now, that's the part that I have as far as the historical part, that we need to be more involved with that. Now, the second portion that I have here, and that is I look at the budget. This is a very, very high cost budget. I don't see, and I do food on a regular basis, special events, and I can tell you, the monies that you're paying for food, this is not a very accurate estimation. Well, let's say to do 500, if you're gonna do 500, we should be able to do something at least about $1,200 in food, including paperware for an event like this. And not only that, but we have so many companies and businesses that would like to volunteer. They may want to contribute, may say, okay, we'll bring 500 cases of bottles of water. We'll donate 20 cases of water, or we'll donate. I think if we reach out a little more, and I think we can get a lot more done. The DJ, the seniors, we didn't pay but $400 for a DJ. And he was there from 10 o'clock that morning, 11 o'clock that morning until 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And now we're paying $1,000 for a DJ. We can get the same DJ, okay? All of these activities, media, that's free. You can call the media. They'll be glad to come out and cover the town of Eatonville for nothing. We got $2,300. That's, to me, that's just a very unnecessary expense. And contingency, I guess that's law enforcement. We had about 2 officers there most of the day. I don't think that came up to $1,600. I don't, Chief, he's there, he can tell you, you can come up to $1,600. So I think we need to just trim this down some. And $12,000 for a 1 day for something like this, for hot dogs and hamburgers, chips and a drink. I just don't see it. I just don't buy into it. I would buy into something that I think would be reasonable. And the next time that we plan something, we need to plan something ahead of time, have it on the calendar, have it finalized, so that way we don't have to get caught again, like we did with Juneteenth, with our backs up against the wall, and we have to approve something, because I'm not going to approve, and I made myself perfectly clear the last time, I am not going to be held my back up against the wall anymore for lateness. This is unexcusable. Council Daniels have been asking about Juneteenth, about the Founders Day for almost a year, and nothing has been done about it.
I'm sorry, Council, I haven't been here for a year.
Wait,
So
But
if
look,
you've been asking for a year, my apologies.
Let me finish, okay? But I'm just saying, when we wait till the last minute, 6 weeks before Eatonville's birthday, and we want to cram this in, we got to do better. Thank you.
We absolutely do, and I think you are right. There has not been, and there's not a special event budget here for the town. So for the town to have events every year, there's not a line item for special events. So there's no backup, there's no, nothing that you can go to for background to say, hey, what has been done, where I can recreate and see what has been done. There's no blueprint.
Ms. Bonds, the last minute and all of that, Juneteenth was not last minute. We all know that. I appreciate all the time that you put into this, and I know that y'all have been meeting. And it hasn't been 6 weeks. Y'all started meeting a while ago. I try to keep it simple so that wouldn't put so much pressure. And if you look at the organizational chart, there's on there for an events coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to move in that direction, but until we're there, we're not going to stress out staff. Mm-hmm. So we keep Founders Day simple because it's about the founding. It's about the town that freedom built. So whether it's hot dogs, hamburgers, and apple pie, it does not matter. It's the coming together. And that right there is free. But it's the spirit in which you come together with. Y'all will stay on the same path that you are on. We're not going to jump through hoops. And I also know that this amount is not a set in stone amount, that you are looking for assistance there. Yeah. But to put something in front of you is why you have this. Because you've been out, it hasn't been a year. It hasn't been a year. So let's keep that real, but do you want to add something to that?
Mayor, for the pleasure of the council, thank you, Ms. Barnes, great job on that. I wanted to review, as I was listening to all the council, I tried to come up with the amount based off that information that's been presented and where council's looking. And of course, the 12,000 would have contingency in. Now, based off the information that I've just heard from the councilman, to meet the parameters, if we did do the skim back, we're looking at about $6,296.97. If that is the pleasure of the council, we'll skim back to make sure the event meets that. But no, we won't have the ability because of the time frame to come back if we're over that. And also to know that Ms. Bonds has already looked at different options to have donations from some of our larger signature sponsors from different larger companies within the community. But I just need to know if we're going to go with the 12,000 you want to present there, or if you're going to look at the 6,000, which is half of that budget based off the information I just heard from council.
I would prefer if we get a new budget. We're not going to just be throwing numbers out there and we don't have anything to look at. I like to see a budget. If you're going to revise the budget, like they have a revised budget.
Okay, just the only thing I'm going to say to that is because of the time constraints, I don't know if we'll have we can put it on the next meeting, but it's really put staff at a disadvantage to make sure they get these things done, especially if the council decides to go a different direction, even with the revised budget. Or we could look at it now and set an amount that you all would feel feasible approval. And correct me if I'm wrong, from the legal standpoint, we could change that amount, make that amendment in that now to change the amount that the council would feel comfortable approving for staff to look forward to make the budget work within that restraint versus taking another 2 weeks out for that. So that was just my suggestion. If council doesn't decide, just let me know what your pleasure is.
Now, tables and chairs, we have, if it's in Denton Johnson Center, there's table and chairs already there. We had at least a little over 100 people inside the Denton Johnson Centers in air-conditioned weather. Very few people on the outside.
Councilman Daniels.
To be perfectly honest, I do events. I don't think $6,000 is enough to put on a event for the historic town of Eagle. I think if we want more, we want better, we gotta do better. I think allocations may need to be turned around some, but $6,000, 2,000 people looking at $3 a head. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, you may be able to get a hot dog and a drink out of that. So I do think that we can put allocation, but let's put our imaginative hats on for a second. If we don't want to spend all this money for food and we sitting up here supposed to be servants, why don't we get out and cook? Why don't we buy the stuff and we cook along with staff to show camaraderie that way? If we want to really just look at it that way, that's a way of saving money. Why don't we get with, I think maybe Mr. Preston talked, why don't we get with the Divine Nine? Why don't we get with the stakeholders and see who will be willing to come in and actually do the manual work if we supply the product? I think that's a compromised way of still getting it done. And as Councilwoman said, if we want to showcase, then maybe we act as tour guides today, just different things. But I think it's going to take everybody to come together to collectively get this done.
Yes. Let me say something. This is Eatonville's birthday. I'm kind of at all of that. We don't have no kind of entertainment at this event. No type of food trucks, no type of those kind of things. This should be a big day, not a 4-hour event. It should be like a concert. Be like when you go to other cities, when they put on, when Jerry Dimmons put on his jazz thing, he have food trucks, he have entertainment. We have to have entertainment. Oh, you get Jones High Alumni Band here. You get all these people out here, to do something. Bakari, when he do his jazz event, it's bigger than this event. The money is, don't worry about the money. That's what people want to see. $12,000, that's embarrassing to me to say, well, that's a lot of money. That's nothing for a town to be putting on a birthday. That's nothing. We should have some type of entertainment in there. Somebody singing, somebody doing something on the stage. So we sitting there talking about just come together. It's not, that's not good for me to come there to see hot dogs and should DJ do music. It should be an all-day event to me. That's what I would like to see, but that's not my planning, but that's what should have been planned. Some type of event, music, beside the DJ. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not part of the planning on that, and we said it was a short time, a short window, but it don't take much to reach out to a Jones High Alumni Band, reach out to some singers, local singers, and get Orange County stage here to do something. And what Miss I echo on what she said about open up these historic sites, have a tour when people come to the community. So have PEC, they have a good tour guide to do the tour. They have a person that does that. So it's something that we need to look into. I mean, when we do a park, when we want to do something big for the town, it's the town funds, not my funds. It's the town funds. We should have, like she says, we're gonna have a special event fund. We need to generate that. We should have a fund. Each one of us should have a district fund. I think that's what you call it. For events that we want to do, like they do in the Orange County other cities. So, I mean, it's just something we need to look at. It's not, nickel and dime and saying this is too much, this is too less, because it's not enough to me for this event. Thank you.
What line item is this coming out of? And is this the last special event for the year?
This is the last special event that we have on the record. The line item is coming out of the regular special events miscellaneous.
It's gonna, well, good evening, Mayor and resident.
It's contingency. I'm sorry.
It's gonna come out of contingency.
It's contingency.
Is it the MLK fund
It's all
or
of
the
it.
contingency?
No, that's in contingency.
That's
MAK,
contingency.
yes. It'll come out of contingency.
And how much is in the contingency now?
Okay, then. And in the past, we have had Founder's Day, and I just want to say, in the past, how we did Founder's Day, staff and the mayor, or whoever's the mayor, they put together what they like for the community to do. So that, I'm just bringing it, know that's how it's been, so it's up to their choice to, and then the staff to put it together. But what we have done in the past, we have got fundraisers, we had sponsors that came in and did it. And again, like you say, stepping out the box, you can do a Founder's Day with a good amount, it depends. We have done it before, but it will come out of contingency, and the amount that's on contingency.
The amount of contingency is $476,601.
$400
And then-
and some $1,000 in contingency?
That's in contingency,
That's
but
the
the thing
general,
is,
that is the general contingency.
right. We asked the general fund to take care of it. You have money in special events, so you can take the money, right now, we do have a special event fund, and you do have.
How much
funds
money
in
is the special event right now?
there. I don't want to quote, but I can get that. If you let me run out and come back, I'll give you that information.
Yeah, I'd like to get that information.
Okay, let me step out. and I'll
Because
bring
general
it back.
contingency, that covers, as Ms. Monday just recently talked about hurricanes and all that, that money's gonna come out of general contingency. So that number is obscure to me.
Okay, it was $12,000.
Huh?
It's just,
Which means, what money is it?
I mean, because we gotta account for in case of emergencies and all that kind of stuff that's in that. I mean, we still have July, August, September. We got what, roughly 3 to 4 months left.
and you still have the reserve. Can I go get the amount and I'll be right back? But we asking for the money to come out of contingency, but we do have a special event. I can let you know how much funds left in there, and we can take it from there too.
Can you go get that? Can you get that for us? Thank you.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and finish this meeting.
Okay.
And then you can follow up with, Mr. Presley. I mean, because we've gone extravagant and it was complaints, now we went simple, it's complaints. So honestly, we are going to keep it simple. And to your point, Councilman Washington, it was discussed about having a program with the stage. But again, this is not conclusive of everything.
Well, man, I'm gonna be honest. In order for me to vote right now on where this money's coming from, I want to know how much money's in special. I think that's only fair for me and the residents of knowing how much money is in the special events right now. But for me to say just pull money out of contingency, that's where we get in trouble when we steady to say contingency, 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 and before you know it, there's no money left because we've been pulling everything out of contingency.
Actually, my statement wasn't even about that. That general contingency is just that it's emergencies, and this is nowhere near the type of funds that should come out of that account. So you and I are on one page on that. But we do need to move on, and I think this is nickel and dime. I mean, if 12,000 initially was too much, and I don't, then we went down to 6, that wasn't enough, you know, so if you just say what Mr. Presley suggested, give an amount, what amount do you think? Then let me finish. Then Ms. Gibson can tell us where the money is going to come from, and we can go from there.
I'll tell you the reason I was bucking back is I only can go on the information that's given to me. And when I see $22 person, just like Ms. Johnson, I divided 22 into 3960, which gave me 180 people. And then I take 180 into 12,362, which gives me roughly $67 to $68 a head. If we're basing off of that number, I don't think that's a wise use of money, and we're not gonna get the bang for our bucks if we paying $67 a head for hot dogs.
How much is it, you said?
$67, because you take 180 into 12,362.
Let me echo something. On that, I think that number, $22 per person is not right for a Southern.
Please hold your conversation
This,
until the end.
me knowing about catering, a Southern, they call that a Southern dish. Hot dogs and hamburgers are $8 to $9 per person served. When I worked at the hotel, that's what, when we did events with hot dogs and hamburgers, it cost like $8 to $9 per person for that. So that's the cheapest one that we do. We done at the hotel. We doing breasted chicken, steak and stuff like that, that's higher. But that's called a Southern picnic with hamburger, hot dog, potato salad, baked beans, that kind of stuff there. And that's like I said, $8 to $9 per person. 22 is high. When I saw that for hot dogs, that's why I said with the median. If that's the median, that is a deserved cost, $22 per person. So let's not look at it $22 for that. It should be under $8 to $9 per person for that.
So how many people are we basing off, Councilman?
Well, I don't know how many people we're expecting.
How many have we seen in the past?
Well, I mean,
So if you just take off the $22 per person and say $39.60.
it's $8 per person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for hamburger hot dogs, I mean, that's
So
what.
the final amount will probably still be about the same once you've negotiated and settled on who you're going to use to cater.
That's what it is, like, that number is not high, so.
All right. So we're gonna, yeah,
Do you want to know the amounts in that special event? It is $25,678.82. That's currently.
How much?
$25,678.82.
That was the MLK.
Now, did you assess the
Special event.
Juneteenth, 5,000 out of that, or how did you do that? It just,
That didn't come from this.
kind of, okay.
I came from Robert Wood.
It was from
Okay.
different appropriation. So that's not it. This is as of today, actually as of, 6:30, June 30th. That's what's in the bank.
And we've got a number that's saying 12,000. We might not reach that. No.
We're not gonna reach.
See what I'm saying? So it's just a number they brought, you guys brought to this board, just showing that this would have made cost or under. So I support that. I mean, because like I said, we should be doing something bigger, but
This $3,900, is this paying someone to do this, or is this just the cost of all the goods?
Ms. Bonds did express that there was a misprint, and that's what she's saying, that there's a different option that's gonna be taken for that, which was purchasing the items and then either working as it has been stated from council with groups in the community to help prepare the food. We would purchase the food and then we'd have volunteers to help prepare the food.
Okay, so then that number will be more than
It would
slashed
be
in half.
sufficient.
that's 12 won't be.
It'd be enough more than for 108.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the goal is, of course.
Okay, now the media, the $2,300 for media and newspaper?
That wasn't just for the media and newspaper, it was actually doing actual promo and publications for the
marketing,
event.
not people coming out to cover it, but to market it so people know what's going on.
The problem
So
has
you're
been
gonna be marketing this to Eatonville or outside of Eatonville?
to Eatonville.
And
You
outside.
need
Of course,
that-
you have others
need
that may
much
see it,
cost
but-
just for
And beyond.
Eatonville?
It's more than that in there.
Huh?
You said it's more than that in there, that cost.
Oh, if we did a full plan, of course, it would cost more. But of course, we're trying to work within it.
So for the 23, what's the plan of action for the 2,300? Tell me, if you can.
I don't remember offhand, I can get you that.
Yeah, how are we gonna market Eatonville?
Well,
How's that done?
I mean, we're gonna work it out. Honestly, there is a group, there's staff that is coming together to work it out. I don't know why, and I'm not being flippant on this. I don't know why we're still on this. I mean, I understand your concerns, but I don't know why we're still on this. We're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the administrative part. If you don't want us to go over a certain amount, give us that amount. The group works together and they'll pull it together. Some of the things that you've mentioned that you want have been in the discussions, but it's just not here because it needs to be finalized. So if there's a particular amount that you want, say it. But otherwise, the group has been working diligently.
Mayor, in a fair statement, I don't think that's fair to say why we still here. It's taxpayer dollars. And we're held accountable for taxpayer dollars. That's why we're here.
That's right.
And that's key to me.
So then, and that's my
And,
point.
and we have other municipalities right now that's in the media for misuse of
Wait, no,
taxpayer
no,
dollars.
no,
No,
Let-
ma'am,
let
I'm
my-
talking.
go ahead, you're right. Go
But
ahead.
there are other, just agree with me, it was on the news at 6 o'clock. There's other municipalities in the news right now for taxpayer dollars being misused. So I just want to make sure, we don't need to be the next channel, I ain't gonna call it a channel, but we don't need to be the next ones there.
But
So, go ahead.
my statement was just what you stated. Say what amount you don't want us to go over, and then that's what the staff will work with. So you are still doing your job, the money. But the administrative part of that, you leave with the administration. So you're saying just what I'm saying. Give the amount. They work within that amount. If it's not working, then they have to come back to you.
So can I ask one question? Can I ask Ms. Bonds one question? Ms. Bonds, what dollar amount would you need to make this effective for the historic town meeting?
Could you come?
So in my experience, in doing special events of this magnitude, because there's about 2,200 residents that we would love to come out. Honestly, $12,000 to me is on the low side. So I can do this for $12,000. Of course, I will work digital. I will work hard to make sure that we come in under budget. My special events have always come in under budget when given a budget. So if the council sees fit to honor this $12,000, I will make sure that the event comes in under budget.
I mean, that's $12,000 good. I mean, I've been up here and we don't approve. It's the mayor event, and I respect the mayor event. When Mayor Cole's up here, we gave $25,000 to an event. $25,000 to an event at Mini Cooper. No, none of this went on or nothing. We talking about under $12,000, and she supposed to did more than what she supposed to do with the $25,000. So my thing is, like I said, to me, this is an embarrassment that we're doing something of this magnitude. Anyway, so we should be doing something bigger, but it's up there. She said 12. That's what she want to use. Let's give her 12 and go with that. I don't approve 25,000. I approve a whole bunch of money to do what the mayor want to do. That's the mayor event. That's what she's over. I'm not over it. That's why she's complaining about it. It's her event, and there's funds there to use it. Use the funds. It's not going to be misallocated. It's going to be allocated right way to vendors and people that working for food.
It's not.
So,
Yeah, you can find ways to cut down on something.
I mean, it's not going, she's saying it's not going to reach that price. It's not
Yeah.
going to reach that price.
And Councilman, Councilman Washington, I'm with you. If it was budgeted, I would have nothing to say, but it wasn't budgeted.
It's always,
So that's why-
this is always budget. You just got to allocate.
Councilman,
Wait,
where's
go
that
ahead.
budget?
Wait, stop. At this point, we are at what amount would you be comfortable with so we can move on?
You said it's 25,000 in the,
Let's try $10,000.
you said it's 25.
$25,678.82.
She said she would try to cut
And we don't have an estimate how much we're expecting, correct, Mayor? No one knows the estimate?
We don't know. Yeah, we just don't know.
I mean, to be honest, Councilman Daniels, if each mayor has its own, way of doing it, I can't, what Mayor Cole did, what, Mayor Grant did, or whoever did, I cannot compare because they do separate, different things. So there's no comparison. And since there is not a line item for this, I can't go back and say, okay, this is what was spent, this is what they spent on this, and here are the vendors. I cannot.
Again, I'm asking, you said 25 and up?
Yes.
I can go 15,000.
Up to 15,000? That's fine.
I would say, since you've already submitted this $12,000, let's just work with that, and if it's lower than that, then that'll be it. We get up to this amount that you've already allocated. Then if there's ways that we can donate things or.
Please, wait, hold on.
Costs to come back.
I'm gonna ask, please stop. Right now, we need to have one conversation. I'm asking. Thank you. Ms. Councilman.
Yeah, you've already budgeted for what's on here already. And without really knowing everything, why don't we just go with what you already submitted? And if it's lower than that, then when we come back, we'll be able to determine that it was much lower, like Mr. Presser had said about the Juneteenth. We said 10,000, and it actually came out to 5,000. So let's just go with this, in the same method. We don't know.
Are we good with 15?
Councilman, the only reason I'm saying that is, in doing events, you gotta put, it don't seem like it's all the way completely played out. You gotta put some contingency in there, and normally on an event like this, you're gonna put anywhere from 15 to 20% contingency. And hopefully, Ms. Bonds will be a good steward and not spend the whole 15,000 and come back and say, hey, I did it at 10 or I did it at 11. That's all I'm saying. I just think with the cost of goods right now and the way cost of goods are changing, I just think it's a good steward that we say 15. So then we don't have to worry about nobody coming back to us saying that hopefully she's a good steward and bringing in up under that 12. If we can concede to that.
All right, y'all are okay. Can I just put that on the floor if we don't have 15,000?
Yeah, just put on the record to make sure you state the amount.
All right, so we can move on. So approval of funding for the Founder's Day celebration up to $15,000.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
No.
All right, number 6, approval of funding for the remainder of the summer program, and it is my fault. There was a presentation that should have been done at the beginning. So Ms. Waters, if you are ready to come, Ms. McCall Waters, it says McCall Waters.
I just come up, there wasn't a presentation, I did a presentation.
Yes, you did.
It was just if there was
You
any,
did.
yes.
Okay, so you don't want it,
The goal was not to do the presentation again, the goal was to let the council know that that was a presentation for this
Okay.
funding, but now this is the actual request for the amount.
so, and you have the documentation. I'm ready to just put it on the floor unless you have questions. So I'll put it on the floor, we'll open up for questions, then we'll,
Absolutely.
first of all, is there anything extra that you would like to say before, since I did call you?
No.
Okay, all right, so
I'm
thank
gonna
you.
transition.
I was thinking you were gonna do the presentation, because you had pictures and everything. But we'll just go ahead and put it on the floor for a moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so motion to approval of funding for the summer program, tennis program. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Vice Mayor.
Ms. Waters, you come on back up. As you know, I've been an opponent of yours for years. You know that I've been fighting for the partnership of the town and the Pop Johnson's program. Your payroll, the instructor 35 an hour, and then the average instructor 65, is that two different things, or your instructor?
Actually, no, it's not two different things. It's actually showing how less that we're agreeing, or I'm agreeing to have the instructors to work in Edenville, opposed to if I went to Lake Nona and worked for USTA, I would get paid $65 to $70 an hour.
And I put that there as
It's a
extra
comparison,
information.
yeah.
Sorry, that's what we discussed. Yes.
And the program, is it running late because it's June 12th?
The program started, even though the funding didn't start, but we started on June 12th, and we're into our third week. We're just, I have very good staff who are waiting for the approval of the balance of the program so that they can get paid.
How would that work, or how would that work with the students keeping the rackets? Is that lifetime? Is that we're buying a racket and they keep it? Is it an inexpensive racket, or?
Actually, the program started with beginner rackets because we have beginner players. Those students that advance, their rackets would change. And then what they would do is that as a beginner, they would donate their racket back to the organization, meaning which organization they're coming from, whether it be the Boys and Girls Club, Shonda Tots, Esteem Learning, or the recreation kids. Wherever they're coming from, as they expand and get better, the racket will be swapped out. So we purchased beginner rackets, intermediate rackets, and advanced rackets.
I saw that the Shonda Tots had about 60 kids.
Yes, she does.
Is that accurate? Because I'm saying they're little kids, you know. I was figuring more the Boys and Girls Club and take a real special interest. You know what I'm saying? Like we're taking this serious, and the little kids are just really a babysitter.
No, we don't babysit. They're actually participating. She has 2 sessions. She brings out 30 kids in each session. And like today's Wednesday. Today, she had the 3 to 5 year olds out. And then on tomorrow, that's when you will have your 6-year-olds to 14-year-olds come out.
I guess you know what? I'm gonna have to come out and just see myself.
Come on out.
Yeah, I gotta come out and see myself.
Definitely.
You know, like, I've always been on your team, and I just want this partnership to work between Tommy and you to help both sides benefit, not just one, both sides.
Correct.
Getting our kids, giving them a avenue of playing sports other than football or basketball, and that you can benefit and the town can benefit as well.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what the program is designed to do anyway. We have worked diligently with USTA and getting a lot of our equipment, a lot of the teaching tools that we need. And we're able to give the kids the rackets, give the kids the balls, not just to play when they come out for their lessons. Shonda Tots kids have their 55 rackets and 2 cases of balls that they take back to their center. So they come out on days that we don't give them tennis. Since the pandemic, we were not able to have tennis year-round like we normally do, but they're able to come out and use the tennis rackets and balls on their play days. They use the tennis courts. Same thing with the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Club, I think, have about 50 rackets as well, with 2 hoppers of balls. They play tennis on different days other than the days that we get. Right now, the Boys and Girls Club is taking advantage of the program because we have them 4 days a week. One day we have them 4 times. But the Boys and Girls Club has over 150 kids. So you've got the Boys and Girls Club, you've got the Esteem Learning has about 25. So we're working with way more than 225 kids for just this summer program.
All right, you got other funding as well? 'Cause I see
Yes,
your
we did get
bottom
other
is
funding.
72.
Yeah.
And ours is, we giving you 55?
Mhm.
And I see your salary, your payroll is 56, so is all that going towards, or you split it up?
We have, we received some of the funding. That's how I was able to cover the salary the salary starting at the beginning. We did get, Mayor Gardner helped out with the second week of financing. And we have a little bit left over, the balance of what we received. And now we're just waiting. Just want to make sure that the program lasts as long as it's supposed to because of the funding. I mean, you know, I give free tennis. I've been giving free tennis for over 20 years. And I'll show up whether, you know, if anybody else don't show up, I'll show up to give lessons. So I'm actually one of the coaches that are included in the presentation that I gave. I'm just the one that doesn't get paid. So, yeah.
How many coaches you got?
6.
All, obviously not all needed.
Of course they are. You have Vanessa McCall, you have Tara Beecham, you have Grellin Henson, and the two other players that came up in the program is Tajon McGee and Anthony McGee, and myself. Yes. They're all coming back as what we, like Mr. Johnson taught us, to come back and give back. You know, but they don't do it for free.
Any other questions?
I have, are they using both sets of courts?
Right now, Eatonville courts, we're not using because they need some work.
And that's my question. We sit up here allocating funds, that's fine. We need to get our facilities up to par. That's the problem I have with this. I mean, our facilities is not up to par, and we just, I mean, I have nothing.
Well, I can say Shonda Tots was using the city courts.
Correct.
Because that was closer to where they were. But last summer, I was like reluctant to have them to do much running because of the debris and everything that's on the courts. That's
I know
not
back
very
I
safe.
mean, when we grew up, we did matches out there. We had tournaments.
Yes, we did.
And that's something you could do now for fundraising. You can do little tournaments, bring people over from Red Bug, like we used to do, bring people over from Winter Park, Alizé Park, I think, Alizé, I think that was who it was. But this is what we can do with these courts. Generate funds for your program. But the course is not up to par.
Can't do it.
You know, but we had set to resurface those courts years ago. I think Vice Mayor Daniels said back years, get those courts resurfaced and name the court. We haven't done it to this day, but we passed those things. So staff and we need to get to work.
Okay.
I'm having nothing else.
Any other questions? All right, it's on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's on the floor to approve funding for the summer tennis program.
So moved.
It's removed. Second.
I've already done it.
I already did.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Which one?
We just waiting on the vote.
Just vote. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. It is approved. My apologies. There is nothing else on the agenda?
Hey, real quick from my end, there were a few questions or comments made earlier about a few items, and I want to address them first. And foremost, the council should have received the update, which you'll receive periodically of the different things that are going on, that you've received in the email. We'll also make that available to the public on our website. Also, the stakeholders meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 17th at 6:30. We're trying not to do that where it would conflict with anything else, but that is already out to the public, if I'm not mistaken. Ms. King, is that out?
It is.
Okay, yeah, that should have been out, and we'll do the correspondence for marking with that. That will consist of Policy Institute being part of that, as well as our interlocal recovery team from FEMA that will be there to assist with the facilitation of that at that meeting. Also, a question came up about code enforcement. We are working now with our legal to have, and also with the board members of the code enforcement to have an initial meeting. The date has not been confirmed. We're waiting once we speak with our legal team to make sure we have the information for the introduction to the board, as well as the expectations for moving forward with that. That is already in the works for that portion, so we'll keep you posted on that. I want to say thank you to Mr. Novak for assisting with updating our YouTube. So that's something that we're working alongside. We appreciate your assistance and your support of the town with that. And lastly, make sure that was everything in my list here. The other thing I'll speak of is, of course, we do have our new planner, one that is here, Mr. McGee. Just wanted him to be here and see the process, Mr. Cotton McGee, and we've also spoken with our interim director. So thank him for their service. He has been instrumental already. He has background with impact fees and zoning and planning, which has been instrumental in helping us putting that information together to get back to council, hopefully within the next couple of months. So just some information of your understanding here. That's all I have today, unless the council has any questions for me.
Attorney?
No report at this time.
Report. Councilman Washington?
I have no report.
Councilman Marlon Daniels?
Thank everyone for coming out tonight. This is a process, and I have to keep reminding myself all the time that it's a process. And just like anybody, going through a transplant, sometimes things have to get real bad before you get put on the transplant list. And that's just exactly where we are in the historic time of England right now. And things have been in such a way that we're just trying to get caught up. And I just want to encourage everyone to just stay involved, stay connected. Not really too much of a report. There's been a lot of deaths and bereavement, so just keep families in prayers. We lost Dr. Bracy, who was a trailblazer in this area when it came down to civil rights and all that. So just keep his family lifted. But then also, I want to keep everybody encouraged that we really have to stay on the forefront of everything that's going on. Violence is starting to creep up again. It's not hitting our community necessarily. It's hard. Chief can probably talk into that, but every time you turn on the news, there's murder and different things that's going on. So we really got to stay engaged. We really got to support each other, and just continue to fight. Mr. President, as you know, you and I have talked. I look forward to next year's budget talks and all that. I think a lot of stuff that we go back and forth with can be alleviated if things are put in the budget. If Founders Day has a line, I would say Founders Day, 15,000, MLK, 20,000. When all those things are there, there's nothing that council or whoever can say because it's already been allocated in a budget line item. I think we just got to get to doing things the right way, and it eliminates a lot of, as everybody say, the politics. I just want to thank everybody for coming out and having this night.
Council, no report. No report. Vice Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Great idea, Mr. Novak. If I had an idea, I would probably want to use the old water tower as one of our pillars of a new branding type of deal. The water tower has been standing for us for years, and when I see that, I automatically think of Edenville. If possible, Mr. President, can I get, or Ms. Gibson, the finance director, the Robert Woods Foundation money? Can I know how much we have? What are the criteria for using it? And where is it at right now in the budget? Also, sometimes these events, we want to throw champagne events with beer money. Sometimes we just got to scale it back sometimes. Like the Founders Day, I've seen where we were out in that building, just a roasted pig, whoever was over that particular event that year. But sometimes let's get creative and have it at Dent Johnson, have a poetry reading contest on who can write the best poem about evil and struggle. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about food. Sometimes we can just start off small and then we grow that way. The senior program, I keep saying that they did a fabulous job as far as the food. Food was great, ribs, chicken. If anyone had it, you know how good it was. Some of the vendors was one that had great lemonade stand. The DJ was great. Just had a pretty good time. So I just want to thank the Supreme Seniors, Ms. Seeley, for doing an excellent job. And everybody have a good night.
All right, I also want to thank the Supreme Seniors. That was a nice program out there. If you didn't, it was hot. It was very hot. Other than that, I just want to thank the staff. Sometimes you just question, but I appreciate, and I'm gonna say that every time, I appreciate the work that you're doing. We are just now halfway getting people in staff positions to be able to do this work. So I appreciate it. And I don't have anything else. The agreement for the $2 million, I guess you should have all received that agreement to look it over. I think when the CRA meeting, we'll discuss it further. Just in case that was a question on anyone else's mind. Other than that, everyone have a great night. Thanks for coming out. I move that we be adjourned.
So moved. Second.
It's 9:04. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, it's 9:04. Meeting adjourned.
Yes, sir.